Well, hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of the Mustard Seed Leadership Podcast. We are doing a series called The 5 Levels of Kingdom Leadership. This is part 5. And this week is a bit of a transition. Over the past 4 weeks, we've been looking at the 4 tests of leadership that Jesus gave in this incredible passage from Matthew chapter 20, verses 20 to 28. But today we're going to pivot, we're going to change, and actually I just want to introduce to you these 5 different levels. Then over the next 5 weeks we're going to do a deep dive into each one of those levels. But today I want to give you all 5 of them, and I also then want to focus on the value flow in each leadership level. By that I mean John Maxwell, when he spoke about his life mission, he spoke about the mission of a leader is to add value to others. And so what I'm doing in these 5 different levels of leadership is we want to see where's the value flowing. Is it flowing from people to the leader or from the leader to the people? What does that look like? So let's get started. I'm going to read from Matthew chapter 20, verse 25. Jesus called his disciples together and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." So let's dive right into it then. And here are the 5 kingdom leadership levels as we see from the passage. And the first one I've simply called controlling leadership. Jesus said it like this: the rulers of the Gentiles lorded over them. We're going to study that word. What does it mean to lord over? But in reality, this is a controlling form of leadership, and we see it right around the world in government. We see it in businesses. Sadly, we even see it in churches sometimes, where the leader controls the people. And the value flow here, value is forcefully taken from people by getting them to do what is valuable for the leader. In other words, that's exactly why the leader's leading like that. He wants value from the people. He wants their hard work. He wants their money. He wants their loyalty or their military service, whatever it might be. And so by controlling them, he's taking value out of the people. The people serve the leader. The value flows completely from the people to the leader under the threat of force. And we'll see later on, this is definitely one of those leadership levels that Jesus said, not so with you. But the second one equally is just as bad. I call level 2 celebrity leadership. He carried on and he said, their high officials exercise authority over them. That word exercise is almost flaunting authority over them. And celebrity leadership, I chose that word because this level of leadership is now all about title and prestige and position and all of those privileges that sometimes people associate with leadership. And the value here is that the leader is still getting value from the people, but he's drawing value from the people by what people think of him. In other words, the leader wants people to see him as a great leader. And so he needs that value flow. That's why through the flaunting of wealth or position or whatever it is, the higher I look, surely the more people will esteem me. And so it's as if the leader needs that value from the people. The more prestigious he looks, the bigger title he has, the more wealth he displays, the more he believes people value him. So this is another way of the people serving the leader. And so the value flow is once again from the people towards the leader to make the leader feel valuable. But now we flip it, and now Jesus says, not so with you, and we're going to look at that in more detail. And the next 3 levels are beautiful kingdom type of leadership styles. And level 3 is simply called servant-hearted leadership. He says, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. And here, this is when the leader chooses to serve people. And the way a leader serves people is by adding value to them. In other words, a leader knows the gifting and the grace God's given them. He knows his value or her value to the Father, and so gives of that value towards others by serving them. As a servant, it is about the leader using their gifts to serve the people by adding value to them. And now, once again, you can see there's been a value flow switch. No longer is the leader trying to get value from the people, but very intentionally, the kingdom leadership model is about how do I add value to people, which takes us even deeper then. Level 4 is called slave-hearted leadership. Jesus continued and he said, whoever wants to be first must be your slave. Now, the value here is the flow from the leader adding value by helping people begin to see the value they have to add to others. I want you to notice the distinction here. Servant-hearted leadership. I'm serving you, for example. I know the value I have and I want to add value to you. slave-hearted leadership, it becomes less about me. Now, I want to add value to you by helping you recognize the value that you have, that God has put inside you, and helping empower you so that you can start adding value to others. It's less about the leader's gifts and more about developing the gifts of the people. I love that, from servant to slave. A slave becomes invisible, they background. And what we're going to see in this progression is it's less about the leader and more about how the leader can set up people to add value to others. As a slave, it's not about the leader anymore. The focus is getting the people you lead to see the value they have to give to others. And here the value flow is once again from the leader to the people, but in a way that's preparing them to add value to others. And lastly then, level 5, the pinnacle of kingdom leadership. Jesus said, just as the Son of God did not come to be served, but to serve. And then he said this, and give his life as a ransom for many. Literally, Jesus paid. He sacrificed his life to pay for us. And that's why I've called this level 5 sacrificial-hearted leadership. Here, the value flow is multiplying value by adding value to those who are adding value to others and then getting out of the way. So we're going to explain this, look at it more careful, but I love this. Jesus prepared his disciples so that they could add value to others, and then he got out of the way. He knew it was better that he went to heaven so he could send the Holy Spirit, but he set them up to lead, that they weren't dependent on him being there physically, but had learned to depend on his Holy Spirit. In the same way, the flow of value here is still, there's value flowing from the leader to the people, but multiplying it through people to be added and multiplied to others. Here, the value still flows from the leader to the people, but is multiplied through the people they lead into others. And so that's the challenge over these next 5 weeks as we look at these 5 different levels of leadership. I'm really hoping that it's going to help you recognize, whereabouts am I? Am I still in a worldly kind of leadership, that controlling or that celebrity type leadership? Or am I on that progression? Where am I on the progression from servant to slave to sacrifice? We're going to look at what the challenges are. How do we go from one level to the next, and then hopefully help you make that transition to the next level of leadership. But just to get you started, I've got 3 questions I'd love you to ponder. Question number 1, as you look over these 5 levels of leadership, which level do you think you are at right now and why? Just as I was explaining, particularly in terms of that value flow, where do you see yourself in these 5 levels of leadership? Secondly, think about a few leaders that you've worked with or you've been under at work or church, and what level of leadership would you put them at? Why? Maybe just as a way of beginning to evaluate and take note of leadership levels of people around you, where would you put them right now? And then thirdly, if you took your leadership to the next level, what might happen to the people around you and organizations you are involved in? Just think about the effect. What could happen if you did invest yourself more, take your leadership to the next level? How would those around you benefit? So I'm looking forward to the next 5 weeks together as we explore these in detail. And so until next week, God bless and bye for now.